Here's how you know when you're doing the right thing. When Republican politicians are unified and ferocious in their backlash. So look at this from the Hill. Republican-controlled legislatures in almost half the states are advancing bills that would make it more difficult to pass citizen-initiated ballot measures. A backlash to the success progressive groups had in using the initiative process to advance liberal policy priorities. In Arizona, voters have in recent years approved initiatives legalizing marijuana, raising taxes on those who make more than $250,000 a year, and raising the minimum wage. Now, GOP legislators are pushing to raise the threshold of votes an initiative needs to win to 60% for most initiatives, or 2/3 of the vote for measures that propose new or higher taxes. State Representative Tim Dunn, the sponsor of one version of the Arizona legislation, said the effort was necessary because his state had been targeted by outside interest groups seeking to buy their way onto the ballot. So those outside interest groups that they're railing against, that would be the American people participating in the democratic process. That's the outside interest groups. It's like if I started some sort of initiative to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I go to, I don't know, fill in the blank with any state, Colorado, and I try to spread the message there and get people on board there. Imagine somebody maligning that and smearing that and saying, outside interest groups coming into our state from other states, unacceptable. You mean free Americans doing American things like engaging in the battle of ideas and policies and trying to convince one another what the right thing to do is? You mean freedom and like how the country is supposed to function? Now, meanwhile, to these people, they meet behind closed doors with billionaires. They meet behind closed doors with corporations and lobbyists, and they think that's totally normal. But when the American people get involved, they're like, oh my God, outside interest groups trying to buy their way onto the ballot. So, I love this story, guys. I love this story because it shows you we hit a nerve. This is how you know that this is the future. This is how you know that this is the path we must take. Don't get it twisted, man. Of course, one of the long-term goals is we got to try to get money out of the political system because it's the corrupting influence of money that leads the politicians to not represent the people and to represent their corporate donors. So that's definitely the long-term goal. But the problem is that goal is nearly impossible because the Supreme Court ruled effectively that it's a constitutional issue, and the Constitution says, according to them, and they're wrong about this, but according to them, they think money equals speech. And so you have to get a constitutional amendment in order to overturn the way it works now, and that's almost mission impossible. These direct ballot initiatives already exist in many states, okay? And I think we should try to get it at the federal level as well. And the reason why they're raining down holy hell against them now is because they work. How many times have I told you? At least 80% of the time, when you do these direct ballot initiatives, the position that's more intelligent ends up winning. I mean, it is what it is. Like, almost every time marijuana comes up, the pro-marijuana side wins. Almost every time raising the minimum wage comes up, the let's raise the minimum wage side wins. And this even happens in states that are nominally conservative. This even here's a great example. In the last election in Florida, Donald Trump won, beat Biden, but the ballot initiative to raise the minimum wage got 60% of the vote. And so they raised the minimum wage. Donald Trump beat Biden there, but the voters also said, I want to raise the minimum wage. I'm telling you, man, the future is to try to introduce more direct democracy. Now, listen, when it comes to constitutional issues, like, yes, the whole point of a constitution is to take certain things off the table that can't be overridden by, popular will. But I submit to you, outside of constitutional issues, why wouldn't you want virtually everything else to be directly voted on by the people? I'm a big fan of democracy. And listen, I know, yes, there's a case to be made that your average Joes and Janes don't know much when it comes to history and facts. But they generally will vote for whatever's in their best interest if they have to vote on the actual policy issues. And that's what's been happening. These direct ballot initiatives the left has been cleaning up with these direct ballot initiatives and been winning virtually every one. And the only time that they lose is because there was a colossal lobbyist effort on the other side to purposefully cloud the issue, to confuse people so you don't actually know which way to vote is the right way to vote. A few times that, there were losses for the left, that's why, is because of this giant ad blitz and ad campaign that confused people about what's the proper position on it. But again, at least 80% of the time, the better side wins. And so we need more direct ballot initiatives, and we need to see it at a federal level, and that's the only way. It's a way to go around the corruption that has rotted the system. And so this is one of my top, policies now. This hopped the list and became one of my top policies when I realized it's a way to defeat the corruption which is easier and actually can work. Whereas getting money out of politics, while I totally support it, it's almost mission impossible. Whereas this works and can go right around the corruption. So I think we need more direct ballot initiatives. It says so much that they have to rig the game in order to try to beat us. Isn't that something? They try to make the threshold more difficult. Hey, in states where it's 50%, over 50% in order for something to pass, let's make it 60. In some instances, let's make it 2/3. Or let's make it so you need a really, really ridiculous number of signatures to even get anything on the ballot in the first place. So they have to rig the game in order to beat us, guys. Do you understand that? Because there really is no substantive argument to make for the changes that they're proposing. The only thing, there's an admission in what they're doing, and the admission is, you guys are winning, we can't beat you fair and square, so we're not going to make it fair and square. We're going to make it unfair. That's what we're going to do. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening. And that is so telling that there's nothing on the merits or on the policy or on the substance here. It's just, you guys are winning, we can't beat you. This direct democracy thing helps you guys out a lot, so let's just try to kill it by adding procedural hurdles that are totally bullshit and authoritarian. And that's the main point here, is that they are embracing authoritarianism. They are quite literally against the democratic will of the people, and they couldn't make it more clear. So now you know this story. Now you know who's on your side and who's not on your side. Now you know that we struck a nerve with these policies, man. So we all need to get on board with more direct ballot initiatives at the state level, and also we should try to get it at the federal level, because that's how you bring about real change. And we know that because it's already happening.